Hey, welcome back. Today's video, I'm going to talk to you away about saving tons of money, hundreds of thousands of dollars by not investing in your mortgage. Rather, we're going to show you an alternative way, and the numbers will, I guarantee you, surprise you. So let's get into it. Now, when it comes down to, there's a lot of advice out there about should I pay down my mortgage? Should I not pay down my mortgage? And a lot of experts, so-called experts, like some really good people I respect highly, like Dave Ramsey's always saying, pay down your mortgage, have no interest, have no debt. And I fully understand and 100% agree with Dave Ramsey. Do not get me wrong on this. However, if you look at the numbers and the fundamentals, paying down your home mortgage faster is actually costing you in the long run. Now, if all you ever want to do in life is just have a home and have no debt, and that's a good goal to have, then just keep doing what you're doing and you do biweekly payments and pay it down faster. And I get all that. That's cool. But what we want to do here at Young Realty and really strive for is make sure that you are living the best life you could possibly live and be financial free at the same time. And how you do it is using simple tips and tricks that you're already doing. We're just going to show you an alternative way. So the big question is, are you really saving any money by paying down your home mortgage faster? And I'm here to tell you, you're simply not. The traditional advice is you got to pay down your mortgage as fast as you can. And there's a lot of cool things. And the biggest, most common one is having a bi-weekly payment. So instead of paying your mortgage once a month and having 12 payments, you do something what we call a bi-weekly payment, where you pay half of your mortgage twice or every 2 weeks. So basically twice a month. But what it works out to, it's 26 payments because there's 52 weeks in a year. So you're paying every 2 weeks half of your traditional payments. You're actually technically not out of pocket more money. And what that allows for is one additional mortgage payment for the year that goes directly onto your principal, and it saves you a ton of money. So it's a great strategy and it's a great technique. But I want to show you an alternative way that's going to earn you hundreds of thousands of dollars more than if you were just to save down your mortgage. So let's look at the numbers really quick. So this is a pretty classic scenario. A typical mortgage amount on average between Canada and the United States, about $500,000. Obviously, if you have more, you can adjust the numbers, and if you have less, same thing. But we're going to use these simple numbers. So it's $500,000 mortgage, amortized over 25 years. So you pay it off over 25 years at an interest rate of 4% and a bi-weekly payment of $102. Now, what does that mean? That goes right onto your principal payment if you're paying it in addition to your normal mortgage payment. Now, what would happen if you took that and you actually paid off your mortgage? Well, guess what? In over 25 years, you're going to pay down $40,000 additionally of principal, which means your mortgage can be paid off faster. So you have less interest to pay because you now have to take 25 more years to pay off the rest of it. So what if you invested, though, that same amount of money, $102? It's not a lot of money. Instead of putting on your principal every 2 weeks, we want you investing in something that's totally passive. And it's just going to say, look, we're going to sit there, but we're going to make that payment every single. And you can automate this. It's very simple to do. So it's $102 every 2 weeks, bi-weekly payments. So instead of putting it on a principal of a mortgage where you save $40,000 and you invest it into something very conservative, like the NASDAQ or the S&P 500 ETF, or you can do a real estate investment trust. And all you want to do, again, you want something around 9 or 10%. If you can find that annualized, and historically, the stock market's delivered that passively. Historically, most REITs deliver that passively. What it reads is a real estate investment trust where there's a collective company that buys big buildings and they share the distributions with the shareholders. In this case, you'd be getting cash every single month. And when it comes down to it, what does that mean? Well, look, if you do the traditional way and say, like, I'm going to make these biweekly payments, you're going to save $40,000. Not bad. And it makes your mortgage go down faster. But the same amount of money, $102, contributed every 2 weeks to an investment that's going to generate 10% a year, which is very easy to find. It is going to generate you $249,000 in income over a 25-year period. Now, it doesn't seem like a lot, but it compounds and grows over time. And that's the beauty about investing. So what are you doing? You're giving up. You're actually going to have a shortfall of $200,000 if all you do is pay down your mortgage. So why it falls short? It's outdated thinking. Not all debt is bad debt. So a lot of the time, the sort of gurus out there want to say, we want you to pay down your debt because you don't want you to have any debt. And I understand why. Because there's a liability. There's a whole slew of reasons why you shouldn't have the debt. However, you're going to have some form of debt regardless, especially if you're buying a home in Canada, the United States, because it's so expensive. And most people's incomes, you're not buying $500,000 house because you make $500,000 a year. It doesn't happen like that. So So most people have to have some form of debt. And mortgage debt is the cheapest debt you could find. And it's a highly leveraged asset that the bank's allowing you to take out because they understand the safety behind it. So yes, there is some risk with it. But look, at the end of the day, it's still not bad debt. Bad debt's consumer debt, right? You're going out, you're buying a TV on your credit card. It's at 18 or 19%, highly risky, and you'll never pay that thing off. Or you're going to go out and buy, I don't know, a golf club and you put it on Visa and it's 22% interest. And you're like, oh, what is going on? That's terrible consumer debt that you should never, ever, ever have. But when it comes to mortgage debt, it is not actually bad debt. It's actually good debt. And I highly recommend you have it. You just got to use it smartly. That's all. And you got to find the right balance, of course. So what you have to, everybody's different. And if you're risk averse or you're very close to retirement, this strategy may not work for you. But if you're young, just getting started, maybe it's your first property you're buying, and you say, hey, look, I just want to pay this down as fast as possible, just pump the brakes a little bit. If you have a runway of 25 years, 30 years, 40 years, you have time for in the market, and you have small amounts of money you can contribute over a long period of time, this is definitely a better strategy than paying down your mortgage fast. And this is what you have to ask yourself. Is my money working as hard as it actually could be? And most of the time, it's not. Am I choosing comfort or am I building wealth? And that's what the big difference is. So if you're risk averse, you don't want to invest, you don't want to have that risk of potentially losing some money, and you don't care about necessarily building wealth, that you want this massive nest egg on retirement, look, the alternative method is still okay. Pay down your mortgage over a period of time, and you'll have a house paid off, and you'll have $40,000 laying around, and that's not bad. But like at the end of the day, what's the long run strategy for financial freedom? Here at Young Realty, we're always trying to build our clients' wealth, not just a little bit, but you can live the life of your dreams, and that's really what we do, and that's what we do in terms of the tips and these tricks. At the end of the day, these are simple things to do. You're doing them anyways. You have the money. It's not cost you additional money. It's just a smarter alternative way to invest your money. And you have to think like an investor. If you're going to do this, you want to be proactive of where are you putting your money? Why invest it in a bank account of getting 1% annualized interest when you can easily put it in the money markets at cash rates at like 9%, 10% interest? You just have to start thinking like an investor. And these aren't complicated things. You just look, if I can do it, you can do it. It's no different. I don't have some magical wand that I wave and find these amazing opportunities. They're everywhere. They're ubiquitous, especially when it comes to the money markets, and especially small amounts. You can't take $102 and buy a huge commercial building anywhere in North America. So you have to understand the money markets are actually not bad. It's the very few time I recommend it. This is a great alternative. You're going to pay down your mortgage at the same time anyways, but you're going to have a lot more money in the bank when you're ready for retirement. Good luck with it.